Afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey. Someone said I need all already. Good to see you guys. Hope you are having an amazing Thursday. The week is almost over. We are getting through it. I am excited for the weekend. All right, we're going to jump right into it. Someone said it's their first time on Periscope. So this is my Facescope. That's what I call it. I Periscope at the same time that I am Facebooking live. I've been doing that this year because people on Facebook didn't want to get on Periscope. So we're going to be talking about this. I get a lot of questions about mentorship, a lot of questions about spiritual parents, a lot of questions now about coaching, because coaching is one of those emerging areas, fields. Everybody's pretty much a coach these days. So I want to talk with you guys. I think last year I was just talking to a client and she reminded me that last year I did one helping you guys identify whether you were a coach, a mentor, or a spiritual parent as we were preparing for our certification program. But today I wanted to come. Hey, Cindy, there you are. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? She reminded me of the one that I did. So today I'm going to talk about what you may need, because people ask these questions all the time. So it's going to be, I have to break down what they are in order for you to assess what you need at this point in your life. And you can have all three all at the same time. But I think one of the things that people do, I should have added therapists, because I'm going to add that. I'm going to talk about if you need therapy, because sometimes you think you need a mentor or a coach or a spiritual parent, but what you really need is a therapist. So I need to add that to this. So I'm going to kind of go through those four things. And that's one of the things that we teach in our certification program that's getting ready to start, the differences between all those. And one of the reasons I started our certification for coaches and mentors is because I realized that people were doing things that they have no teaching to do or skills to do or background to do. And it's mainly because they didn't understand the differences. All right. So we'll start with a mentor. A mentor is a person who you are able to identify carry something in them that you need in your life. And so when we talk about the concept of mentoring, the traditional definition for it is it's a service that is free. And there's a lot of mentoring in the corporate world where somebody who has gone a little bit further than maybe a newbie goes and gets coffee with them and asks them questions. And literally what a mentor does is they pour what is in them into the person that is receiving. And the mentoring can be in a diverse area. So you could be a mother and a wife that mentors young women or young wives and young mothers, and you just have the experience or the expertise based off of your life. And so when someone goes to a mentor, they find somebody. You could have a prophetic mentor who has a prophetic gift and you want to learn from them. You could have somebody who has gone, as a real estate agent and has done really, really well, and you go to the mentoring. Usually is not a charging a fee. There's not a fee to mentoring by itself. Now, when we started my mentoring program, we have our Destiny Mentoring Program, which we're going to open up in a month or so. I started it because people would come to me and they'll say, hey, I want to grow. I want to learn spiritually. And so I would invest time and hours in pouring into people and discipling them. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm giving you guys hours. I'm giving you guys resources, and I am not getting anything from this at all. And so what we did is we created an organization where they would pay dues for mentorship. So you pay a monthly due for 2 sessions. I pour into you, and it's very general. Mentorship can go on and on and on and on, and the person can grow with you and they can develop with you. Mentorship can go deep into issues that you're having that you want to discuss, or it could stay on track with one particular area. Right? So we developed our mentorship program. Then I realized, well, I went to school to be a psychologist. I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of specific targeted help I need to put this in a container in which people can access it through my business. Coaching, you can get paid for. Mentorship, people do it. You can start mentorship programs, but really I would say do a fees or a general dues for that group, and not necessarily per hour. If someone's charging for mentoring per hour, they're probably coaching. Coaching is when you go to somebody to get a specific skill out of you. So when you look for a coach, you're looking for someone. So for example, someone who's a singer, right? And they want to go to the next level as a singer, they would look for a vocal coach. Someone who does gymnastics, right? And they want to perfect their skill, they would look for a gymnastics coach. So when you're looking for a coach, coaches should be specified, meaning you're coming to them with a specific skill, and the job of that coach is to take it to the next level. Now, you could also come with a particular specific desire that you're not able to reach, or a specific area that you're not seeing fulfillment in, and the job of the coach is to take you from point A to point B in that particular skill. So you have weight loss coaching, where you come with a goal and they help you achieve that goal, right? We have marital coaching, which is more you just have a specific area where maybe you need to improve your communication, and what we do is get you from point A to point B. Now, if you come to me for marital coaching and I figure out that you have emotional issues, you have inner healing issues, that's going to switch from a coaching issue to more of an inner healing issue. And then if there's psychological issues, then I'm going to refer you out to a therapist who's going to deal with those deeper issues. So what I have found is that some people really need a mentor, right? And they are really need a coach, and they're going to mentors. Or I'll find people that are really coaches and they call themselves mentors. A coach is a specific area, and usually coaching is a specific time span. You're going to do coaching for about 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and coaching should have markers. And this is the stuff that we teach you guys in the certification program. It should be measurable. You should be able to measure that my client came to me at this point and they're now here. If you're paying for a coach, you should be able to measure that I went to her or him for these specific things, and now I am here. There should be clear goals. There should be clear benchmarks. All right. So coaching is usually in a specific area. So I do prophetic coaching. If someone comes to me and they say, I have a prophetic gift, what I'm going to do, and coaching has a lot of assessments. Mentoring doesn't. You guys are developing a relationship. You're growing. Now, our mentoring program does, because it's ran by someone who studied psychology. So we assess for your spiritual gifts. We do an assessment of goals, but mentoring normally doesn't do that. Coaching does. And so for those that sign up for our certification program, you're going to get some of my assessments that I use when I coach people. You want to have benchmarks and you want it to be measurable. Okay. Now you're going to need a therapist, not a coach, not a mentor. If you're having emotional and psychological issues that are impacting your job, that are impacting your work, that are impacting your relationship. So one of the ways that in psychology diagnosis is achieved is when somebody is having an issue, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe feeling overwhelmed, and it is impacting every area of their life. If you have all that going on, and some of you coaches are actually dealing with psychological issues and you don't know how to break through in their lives because you don't have the skills to do it. So one of the things that we do in our certification program is teach you how to identify psychological issues so that you know when to refer out. And this happens with pastors. Pastors all the time are dealing with members and people that have psychological, emotional issues, and you have done all the praying that you could do, all the deliverance that you can do, and you need to refer out. One of my favorite things to do is to go to churches and teach them how to understand the psychological aspects and spiritual aspects of people and how to refer out. Because my business is virtual, I do not work with any serious mental illnesses. So if I have someone that do a consulting, and I'm a coach, I brand myself as a coaching and a consultant. So I'm not going to, even though I'm a clinical psychologist by education, if someone comes to me and they have schizophrenic tendencies, they have depressive tendencies or manifestations, I'm referring them out. And so a lot of times You need to be able to discern that. If you are having those kind of issues, you don't need to go to a coach or a mentor. You need to sign up for a therapist. You need to go and deal with your emotional and psychological issues. All right. We've talked about coaches. We've talked about mentors. We've talked about therapists in general. And all of this stuff is covered in our coaching and certification course that is open for registration right now. How do you know you need a spiritual parent, right? So ideally, I believe that everybody needs a pastor, right? Everybody needs a pastor. And you need to be in a pastoral environment. And when I say pastor, I'm not talking about the person who is speaking, right? Because a lot of times you may be part of a really big church and you have no access to the person that teaches every Sunday. But in a healthy big church, ideally, they should be shepherds and people that are over maybe your cell group. In our church, we have elders that are also shepherds. You need to have somebody that you can go to for your spiritual issues and for your spiritual development. Okay. Now you may have a mentor or a coach who is spiritual, but they're not necessarily responsible for your spiritual well-being and for your spiritual care. So when we're talking about spiritual parents, you can have a pastor that you are connected to, and they may not necessarily be your spiritual guide on a weekly or monthly basis. Ideally, in a healthy church, there should be other elders or other people that you see that are more mature than you spiritually, and you guys are under the same umbrella, and you can learn from them and you can grow from them, right? And sometimes your spiritual mother or father is not going to be in the same city as you. So how do you know whether you need a spiritual parent? I really feel like spiritual parents are really important when you serve other people. If you are in the ministry of developing people and raising up people, you need a spiritual parent or at least a spiritual mentor who you can go to and get advice from when things go crazy, who you can go to and say, hey, I'm struggling in this area, who you can go to and they can say, hey, you have this blind side and you don't really see it. So you don't always need a spiritual parent, but I believe that you always need a spiritual family or a pastor or people that can pour into you. But when we talk about spiritual parenting, I really feel like it's very important if you're leading people or if you have a group of people that you're overseeing. Because the thing of it is, if you get crazy and you start teaching craziness, who are they going to go to for accountability? Who are they going to be able to go to and say, hey, we think so-and-so jumped off the deep end, right? Now, scripture says that you have many teachers, but not many fathers. Our church, we believe in a model of many fathers. Fathers, when we talk about the fathering realm, it's the apostolic realm. That who God is, he has different facets to him. There's a mothering aspect to the Lord, which is nurturing, comforting, and teaching. There's a fathering aspect, which is pioneering, building. And so when we say fathering, that doesn't exclude women. Women, apostolic women, can be mothers or fathers. People that have oversight over your life can be mothers or fathers. I know there's some people who don't believe that women should be preaching or teaching, so you probably shouldn't be watching my Facescope, my Periscope, or my Facebook Live. So I don't want you guys to feel limited that because I've seen this and it's been a lot of damage. People are like, oh, I need a spiritual father. So you go chasing after a man, but what you really need in your life in that moment is an apostolic mother who can deal with the mother wounds, and that's why you don't respect women. So having a spiritual father is not really going to help you, right? And then I've also seen where men or women will chase after spiritual mothers, but what you really need is a spiritual father because you've never been able to submit to godly, manly leadership. And so what you need to begin to do is, I'm feeling the Holy Spirit, like I can't even talk. I don't know why. This is not one of those face scopes that the Holy Spirit would be really descending on me as I'm talking. But what you need to do is you need to begin to pray. And so now I'm going to talk about some practical stuff. Someone said they're going to steal my face scope. Someone gave that to me, so freely use it, the term face scope. But what you need to do, whether it's a mentor or a spiritual parent, you need to begin to pray and ask the Lord what you need in this season. Okay. And once you have asked the Lord what you need in this season, then you need to ask. Now we are in technological age where you have been able to be mentored. I have lots of people, you know, Cindy was on here. She was sharing how she goes to sleep listening to my YouTubes and, you know, how it's really impacted her life. So you could be mentored by someone you've never met. You could be mentored by someone you've never met. I have been mentored by books. I've been mentored by videos. I mention Graham Cook all the time. I've never met him, but who he is and what he carried has shifted my life because of his pour. It shifted the way that I view people, the way that I disciple people, right? So mentorship, you don't need somebody right then and there. You could be mentored through books, through videos, but spiritual parenting, you do. You cannot say somebody is my spiritual parent and they don't know your name. You cannot say that is my mother or my father in the faith and you've never had contact. And that's why I'm trying to tell you guys that they don't have to be a big name person. Sometimes we're looking for these big name people to mother us and to father us when there is a sweet little old lady who has been walking with the Lord for 50 years and has more depth than someone who has a platform. Right? Where me and my husband are at right now, we keep saying, we have mentors, and the people that we look for are not necessarily in ministry. We look for people who have done marriage really well, who have served God for a really, really long time, and they have a depth. Right? So some of you guys get frustrated because you're looking for a spiritual parent or a mentor that is a big name or has a stage. And the Lord is saying, look to the people that are right around you. Look for someone who has really good fruit, that loves well, that is kind, that is consistent, that is faithful. And we encourage people at our church to say, hey, if there's an elder that you see or a deacon, we're getting ready to install some deacons that you see around you and they have good fruit and they serve well and they love God well, learn from them, submit under them. And what we do is have our elders and our deacons report to us who they're mentoring or who they are spiritual parenting. They don't need to write down a big thorough report. They just do that for accountability sakes. So I want to encourage you guys to think differently and to explore differently. This is the other thing. I've had spiritual mamas and spiritual fathers for seasons, right? Now, just because I'm not in their church anymore doesn't mean they're not I wouldn't consider them a spiritual father anymore. I had a pastor who was a spiritual father for 8 years. He was amazing. I will honor him to this day. He served his purpose. And then the Lord said, I'm shifting you globally. I want you to sit under this, or I'm teaching you how to build. I want you to sit under this, and sat there for 5-6 years. And the Lord said, that's really good, but the direction that I'm taking you is a little bit differently. Now you need to have long term. Now, if everybody you sit under is a year or 6 months, that's a problem. But there are going to be some people that God has you under for 3 years or 6 years. Those are spiritual parents. 3 to 6 years, I would say, yes, that's a spiritual parent. You can't say, oh, that was my spiritual parent and I was with them for 6 months. No. Now I have mentors, and I've shared with you guys this before, who God, a specific lady, she was a diplomat in Israel, and the Lord said, sit under her for the next 3 days because I'm going to teach you how to handle yourself in the nations. And that was the 3 days, and I asked lots and lots and lots of questions. And this is the thing. If you need a mentor, and I'm focusing more on the mentor and the spiritual parenting, you need to come with questions. One of the things that we teach people in our mentoring program, and I don't mentor, I have stepped down from mentoring, but I have people that I've developed in our mentoring program that will mentor you. So if you sign up for it, I will help do the interview, and then I will pair you based on your gifting, based on your calling and your assignment with who I think will be a good mentor to you. But some of them I sat under for 3 days. Some of them, it was 3 months. Now, some of you guys, you've had opportunities to be mentored and you did not utilize that opportunity well because you did not have the right questions. It's the same thing with coaches. If you go to someone, don't waste a coach's time. Especially coaches are going to charge for your time. People come to me to be taken to the next level. I coach people in business. I coach people spiritually. We just finished doing a lot of strategy coaching. And people come to me. If I've titled this thing that I'm doing strategy coaching, they should come out of my sessions with a strategy. And I actually will cut people short if they're talking a lot and their time is going down, because my job is to give you a strategy if you come to me for strategy coaching. If you come to me for destiny coaching, you should have clarity about where you're going. Whereas mentoring and spiritual parenting, there's a little bit more fluidity. So in our program, and I'm not going to give you all the details because you need to sign up for our coaching and certification program. The people that do will get our system. Every mentoring program should have a system. If you are part of a mentorship program and there is no clear understanding of where you guys are going or why you're there, that's not good. And coaching is the same thing. After the initial consultation, there should be clear goals and clear objectives. Spiritual parenting, this is the other thing. People say they want spiritual parents, but they don't really want spiritual parents because you're not willing to be honest. You're not willing to be transparent. Whereas in coaching, you don't need to tell me all your business. All I'm here for is to deal with the one thing that you have brought to me. But if you come to me as a spiritual mother or to my husband as a spiritual father, and we spiritual parent right now are leaders. So our core leaders and those that we bring into leadership, that is our immediate responsibility. And so one of the things that we tell them is you say you want to be parented, but you're not honest and you're not transparent. We don't know what's going on in your life. How are we supposed to advise you? How are we supposed to correct you? How are we supposed to bring you to the next level? So you have a lot of people that are crying out for spiritual parents, but they're not really ready. They're not really ready at that level. Because if you're honest, you're saying when you pick a spiritual parent, you're saying that I am submitting my life to you. And I trust that you hear from God. I trust that you have your best intentions for me. And I am willing to follow and learn and lead from you. All right. Someone says, how do you find spiritual parents? I've already given some tips on how to do that. You look for what you need in your life and the direction that you need to go and the areas that you need to serve. Spiritual parents are not just people who are supposed to pour into you. You're supposed to also help serve and build what God has put into them. You're not part, it's just biblical. You can't be part of a family and all you do is eat there and sleep there and you don't help clean the house. You don't help do any of the chores, right? So your spiritual parent is not just somebody, they don't even have to pastor a church, but they should have a vision. They should be going somewhere. And if they're like, you know what, I am, 80 years old. And right now my job is just to pour into this younger generation. And that's their job as a spiritual parent. You still need to figure out, how can I serve you? How can I serve the vision that God has given you? So spiritual parenting is not a one-way street. You get poured into, you get corrected, you get fed, but you also need to figure out, and this is the thing, if you can't figure out how to connect with the vision of your spiritual parents, then you may be mismatched. You may be mismatched, okay? You may be mismatched. That's really important to me. And that's something that I had to assess, right? So if you have spiritual parents, and you can't really connect with what they're doing, what they're building, then that might have been a really good mentor or a really good pastor or somebody for a season. And it needs to go both ways. So in a season, you may have a mentor who's mentoring you in business, and you may have spiritual parents, right? In a season, you may have a coach who's just taking you to the next level in a particular area, and you just are part of a church and you serve there and you have friendships there, but you don't have someone necessarily speaking directly into you spiritually because maybe you're not at that stage developmentally. Maybe you're not necessarily going anywhere. Some of you guys need spiritual parents, and all you need to do is just get into a group, a cell group, get some friends that love Jesus, and you don't really need a spiritual parent, because that's the other thing. You can't waste people's time, right? So if you say you need a spiritual parent, make sure that you're clear, and you don't have to know everything, but have a clue of what you need from them and what you also are bringing to the table. All right. I'll take a couple of questions on mentoring, coaching, or spiritual parenting. If you think that you are a mentor or a coach and you need certification, or you have a program already, you need to go there. What type is the Eli and Elisha story? Ooh. So that's the model that everybody uses for spiritual parenting, right? So let me just give you guys a couple things. If someone comes to you and they say, hey, you're my son and daughter in the faith, you better really pray about it. Because what I have seen is a lot of times people that are controlling or manipulative will start calling people son and daughter to bring them into their ministry so that they can serve their ministry. It should be a two-way street. Now, anybody that has any of my spiritual children know that even though I knew that this person was a spiritual child to me, I may give clues and I may give languaging, but I wait for them to say, you know what? I believe that you're a spiritual mother to me. I believe that, Pastor Soso is a spiritual father to me, because it ends up in a lot of manipulation if I go chasing after people. So a true spiritual model is not necessarily chasing after people. You're my son, right? Now, Jesus would see people and he would call out the potential in them and he would say, follow me and I will make you a fisher of men. And for some of them, it was after they had spent time with him that they said, Jesus, you are not only my discipler, but I'm never going to leave your side. I am with you and I'm going to follow you. So spiritual parents can say, hey, follow me. I want to pull this thing out of you. But the first thing out of their mouth shouldn't be, hey, you're my son and you're my daughter. Sonship, it comes out of relationship. For me, I will never just come out and say that until I have assessed who you are and I've assessed your devotion, not only to the Lord, but to what God is calling me to do. Okay. And so that Elisha and Elijah model says, hey, you see someone, just start following them. Yes, but make sure that the Lord has told you to follow them. Is it possible to have a pastor but still not be pastored? Yeah. All the time, because there's a lot of people who take pastoral jobs that are not even pastors. They may be evangelists, or they may be pastors, meaning they're really good shepherds, but they're not really good teachers, or they may be prophets, and prophets rarely make good pastors unless they have grown up in a fivefold model and have taken intentional time to be discipled. So this is the thing. If an apostle or prophet, which is me and my husband, pastor a church, one of the things that they have to do is put in place a pastoral model where they have people that are really good shepherds pastoring the people. So you don't have to be pastored by the lead pastor, because he may just be a really good teacher or she may be a really good communicator, but you have people in the church that actually have shepherding as one of their gifts. And those are the people that you need to put in place to shepherd the people. Shepherding means counsel and care. Pastoring is part of the shepherding umbrella, but people that grow churches are really good people, that really good teachers. So you have some people, and that's why a pastoral model has different kinds of teachers on different kinds of pastors. You have some that just do counseling. You have some that are really good at teaching. Okay. Hopefully that answered that question. I'll take one or two more. My babies are coming soon. Ask God what you really need in that season. Okay. I think sorry guys. We're told it's only one pastor and they're only one spiritual parent, and that's them. I don't want to say too much because I don't know them, but that means that you are probably in a pastoral model church and not an apostolic model church where you, they believe in the fivefold. How do you pick a good therapist? Therapists are like trying on shoes. And it's the same thing sometimes with even coaches, where you go and you have to talk to them, ask questions, make sure that when you're talking with your therapist, you're clear about what you need. Now, a good therapist is not going to be your friend. Some of you guys confuse even spiritual parenting, even your coach, even your mentor. They're not supposed to be your girlfriend or your boyfriend. They're there to deal with your issues, right? And so sometimes a therapist or a mentor or a spiritual parent gets in there and it doesn't feel good and it's hard. But if you know you're getting better and your life is changing, that's a good therapist. We're not here necessarily to make you feel good. We're here to get you better. I realized that about the hospital when I had to stay longer. I had to stay long in there when I was having my daughter. I'm like, these people are trying to get me better and get me out of here. They don't care about my comfort. I'm like, this is not a resort. All they cared about was the strategy to get me out of there. And really, it's the same thing. Now, spiritual parents should be loving. Moms and dads should be loving. I said moms like a British person because I am African and sometimes my words slip. But moms and dads should be loving, but they should also be correcting. They should be caring, but not always just comforting. All right. Let me see. I missed some questions on Periscope. I apologize. Someone had asked a question here that I missed. Thank you for loving my accent. Thank you. It comes out all kinds of ways. So anyway, long story short, I got to get off, but go register. Our School of the Prophets is open. If you feel like you're called into the fivefold, we have a fivefold school this year that's merged with the School of the Prophets. It's in Raleigh. Go register. If you feel like you're called to mentor, coach, go register. Spiritual parenting, go register for the Fivefold School. I will be in Tampa April 21st. I will be in New Hampshire April 27th. I will be in Greenville March 31st. March 24th, I will be in Asheville. You can go to my website, AskDrFaith.com, to catch up with my agenda. Someone said never in Indiana. I will be in Chicago in September, so that's close to Indiana. What are your thoughts on multifaceted relationships? I'm not sure what you mean by that, like mentor, spiritual parent. If you have a spiritual parent, they're probably going to coach and mentor you at some point. If you're a coach, you may switch into a mentoring role at some time. So I'm not sure if that's what you are asking. To schedule a strategy session, a coaching session, you email info@askdrfaith.com. I will be taking a break in the summer from coaching and all that because I need to develop my church leaders a little bit more. So you want to get it in as soon as possible. Bless you guys. All our courses have payment plans. So if you need to space it out, I would suggest you go to Ask Dr. Faith. Can you have more than one spiritual mother? It will get confusing, but you can have different people at different parts of your life. But when someone comes to me and they're like, I have 2 or 3 spiritual mothers, who are you going to listen to, right? It's going to get confusing if it's at the same time. One of them is probably a coach or a mentor and the other more of a spiritual parent. But when it comes to spiritual matters, I would not be double-minded, meaning have multiple voices that are speaking into your personal life. Okay. All right. Bless you guys. Yes, I am wearing my fatigues today. Just a little t-shirt day. People see the funniest things. Someone said, can you sign up for the Fivefold Conference even though you're only a prophet? Yes. So part of the job of a prophet is to teach people how to hear God, but also to teach apostolic people how to manage the fivefold. And so if you know your fivefold office already, you know, it's up to you depending on your finances if you just want to sign up for a segment of it. But obviously, we would want you to sign up for the whole 5-day school. And we are going to be announcing all the additional teachers that are going to be teaching alongside me. It's going to be amazing. Someone said they know someone with 20 spiritual parents. They're confused. They are confused. All right. All right. I signed up for the dream course for tonight. Where can I watch the course? If you signed up last night or this morning, you have not gotten your login information yet. You should be getting it this afternoon. Guys, if you're going to take the course, don't sign up at 6 o'clock. All right. And wait, you know, because then you're emailing me like, oh my gosh, some of the information should be automatically sent. So if you paid full price, that information is already sent. But if you got on the payment plan, then we have to send the information. This person said they signed up on Monday, then email us because that means your email got dropped somewhere. So email us and we'll send you the login. Okay, my dears. Bless all of you guys. School of the Prophets available online. Yes, but we would rather you be in person because there's impartation in person that you will not get online. Someone said, can your spiritual father be in another church? Not if you're in the same city. It's weird to me to have a spiritual father in your city, but you go to another church unless your spiritual father doesn't have a church. But he should be in a church. And that would be great if you guys were in the same church. Okay. Bless you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.